Pretty sure I'm in focus. Welcome to my first devlog video. I'm going to be making a spooky Halloween game for Halloween. Recently, Godot released their 4.0 version into beta. I thought this would be a fun way to try to use the new Godot engine. I wanted to do something that was 2.5D because I like Don't Starve. It's like 2D stuff in a 3D world. I wrestled with Godot for a little bit to get it to work with VS Code again. They changed their language server port from 6008 to 6005. Creating like new game mechanics is really hard. The guy from Game Maker's Toolkit, Doi, what does he say? Hi, my name's Mark. I am making a video game
about magnets.
Anyway, he talks about how making mechanics is really hard. I definitely ran into that. I really like the 100 Days of Code challenge because it forced me to code something every day. And so instead of getting caught in like this analysis paralysis, I could just like make something and be like, oh yeah, that sucks. And then make something else and be like, okay, that sucks too. And keep making stuff until something is not as sucky as the stuff that I was sucking at the beginning. One of the things that like possesses a lot of Halloween magic for me is the Mickey Mouse Hansel and Gretel short. It has Danse Macabre playing over the whole thing. I did a stupid amount of research and brainstorming. I found this game called Dread RPG, which is basically like a Dungeons and Dragons, but with a Jenga set. Every time you have to do something that requires dexterity, you have to do a little mini game. The thing, which I haven't played, but I found, which sounds really cool, Potion Craft. That game looks beautiful, and I love the idea. I really wanted to do something Hansel and Gretel, so I was thinking, oh, Blair Witch Project has witches. September 19th, I made a plan. It was very ambitious. I whittled it down to like an MVP, which is a minimum viable product. I got that as small as I possibly could, which turned out to actually be still too big. After I got the plan, I started building stuff. Godot 4 is awesome. It is unstable. I don't know, maybe I'm doing something super wrong, but it just kept crashing on me whenever I tried to like use the external editor, so I gave up on using VS Code. I had a working prototype in the Godot 4 3D world, but then I kind of went down a rabbit hole of procedurally generated levels. I thought that it would be more straightforward than it was, which is really silly because basically everybody is like, oh yeah, procedural generation is a rabbit hole. It's a very scary rabbit hole. I learned about the different colors of noise, a lot of other theory stuff. GDScript has some awesome things on procedural generation. I was in way over my head, and I moved on. But then I was trying to move on into something that was also really difficult that I hadn't done before. Viewports. I was trying to get Godot 4 to work with making a viewport texture for my tile map so that it would project onto a three-dimensional plane. So it looks like how it is in Don't Starve, where there's a little bit of perspective on the ground. I couldn't figure out how to make it work. Next day, I decided to give the 2D side of the engine a shot before scrapping it all and making it in 3.5 again, and that actually worked great. I created a basic enemy, AI, and a HUD for the player. Kind of made the player and the enemy scripts resemble like quick and dirty state machines, which worked really well for me so far. It keeps it clean enough for me to understand and for me to extend it so that it's closed for modification but open for extensibility. I saw an article about that recently. I implemented this fun mechanic where the player is stunned when their health drops below 0 when an enemy hits them, and when they're stunned, the enemy like grabs them and like drags them to the witch's house. And after a certain period of time, the player like wakes up from its stun state, like whoa, whoa, and then like is able to break free and run away from the monsters. I added Y-sort so that it kind of feels almost like a 2.5D game. It was super easy. I, at some point, will need to figure out the navigation server. The enemies need to go to the front of the house instead of just directly to the house at whatever angle. That is intimidating, and so I'm putting it off. Earlier this week, I made a minigame for casting spells. I didn't want the player to just like push a button and be able to like fireball. I wanted them to actually have to do like the whole like Wingardium Leviosa thing. I was reminded of the Harry Potter Game Boy Advance game where you learn spells from Professor Quirrell. He waves his wand in different directions and you have to copy them, kind of like a Simon Says. I also saw that there's a new Harry Potter game out where you need to trace a pattern that's on the screen and that will cast your spell. So I wanted to do something like that, but I wanted it to be in real time. What I came up with was having 4 points in a diamond. You can make shapes based on how you trace them. I connected the mini game to the main game. When you press E, it opens the spell dialog and you can cast a spell. It felt fun. Maybe I'm delusional, but I think it's maybe fun. So I'm going to keep going down that road and trying to refine it into something that resembles an actual game. I keep running into things that I don't know how to do, which is obvious and normal for game dev. It's very disheartening. Like shaders, I kind of understand shaders, but I need to figure it out for shadows. They're just very confusing to my brain. That's what I have so far. The deadline is to get this game done and on itch.io by October 24th, which is a week before Halloween. That gives me 3 weeks.